Hello, thank you for joining me today on Oakville Matters. With us today is Mary Vallee, who's been honchoing the construction project on the downtown of Oakville. We know it as the Downtown Streetscape project, but really the streetscape fixing was a compensation for the pain and suffering that we knew we had to go through to rebuild the roadbed, which had worn out after 75 or 100 years. And yes, roads do wear out. Hopefully we've rebuilt it this time so that it never has to happen again, or at least it'll be another 100 years before it happens again. Mary, how's it been going? And have you survived?
We have survived. I have to tell you, the last 2 weeks on Lakeshore have just been wonderful. It has been quite a journey from the beginning of the construction work in April of 2019 to November 2020. Hard work was done when really looked like there was nothing going on the street, when we're digging and making noise and creating dust. But when you look out on Lakeshore today, we're putting in new benches, we're putting in signage. It's the last minute finishing works that are coming together, and it's wonderful to be able to say we're on time.
Well, thank you for that. Those words sound very good. I've been getting a lot of positive reaction from the street. The merchants saying that it's beautiful, and I believe that part of that reaction is caused by the crowds that are thronging down there to enjoy it. And I've always said to them that we would produce bigger crowds for them. Now it's their job to convert them into paying customers.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that works out too. If anybody was down there today, what would they see? Would they see any of the fencing coming down? Would they see any last minute paving going on? I mean,
I can tell you that the fencing is beginning to come down, and the last pieces that you will see are sort of in the Dunn Trafalgar area, and they'll come down in large panels. And right now, the purpose of them remaining up is basically to kind of keep our workmen inside of the site. There is a little bit of digging still going on Trafalgar, but not Lakeshore. And the last of the fencing will all come up Thursday evening, ready for Friday morning's ribbon cutting.
what? A ribbon cutting?
A COVID-friendly ribbon cutting will take place in the intersection at Reynolds and Trafalgar. Limited people invited to this, keeping us all safe. And it will mark the end of construction, and you'll see the very first car ride through. That's been able to do that in 2 years. So Friday will be quite a day for all of us.
Gee, maybe I'll bring my car and see if I can convert.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Well, what's been the best part of the job for these 2 years?
You know, it has been learning the stories of the people who make up the Lakeshore downtown community. And that's not just our businesses, it's our residents too. Certainly the businesses have tied themselves financially and wholeheartedly into this community, and that they serve the people of Oakville and surrounding area. But I want to say from the bottom of my heart that large number of phone calls that we have gotten are concerns about their downtown. And their opinions and questions come from a good place. There is a loyalty and a sense of ownership to this area that I don't believe you see in every community. And it's quite heartwarming to see something like that. And I believe that's what sets Oakville apart.
Oh yeah, I think it's very clear that I think you can say Oakville loves itself. We love ourselves. So now, just to be even-handed, what's been the worst part of the 2 years?
We've been spared. We've been spared some complicating incidences that do manifest themselves in other construction zones. That's been lucky. But what's been hard is the frustrating times when you're seeing nothing but a road being turned up, dust, piles of debris, piles of equipment that will be used later on. And you can't give a firm answer, yes or no, to a business or a resident on when this will go away. We have had times where the weatherman was not on our side, and we have had times where we've been pushed back through other incidences that have occurred and have had to change around our work schedule. And that's hard. But I want to say that we have been straightforward in our messaging to residents and businesses, and work very hard to give the best answer we can with the information that we've got. So that was the tough part for certain.
Well, what's the best new feature down there? What's being used
I would have to say what benefits I would look for a benefit in that, and I would say that the best new feature are the wider sidewalks. It allows businesses to be able to utilize the space in front of their stores or services. And that was exhibited well with our patio program, which continues on. A lot of communities had to utilize more parking spaces than what we did, or had to barricade off from a main street. But Oakville was able to secure that and roll out a patio program in our downtown that was quite successful. And as I say, today is the 17th of November, and there are still patios out there. Secondly, too, there is a open, relaxed feel about the wider sidewalks, where people are able to stroll and walk 3 or 4 abreast on the sidewalk. And I don't have to tell you the importance of that now in a COVID environment. How we can walk within our downtown and be in a group of 2 or 3 people and not have to be in single file.
Yeah, I find that there's a more European ambiance to the downtown now as a result of the wider sidewalks.
I would agree with that. Strolling instead of purposeful. How's that?
Strolling instead of hiking. All right.
Right.
Well, I think viewers, if you're watching this, you may find this interesting to know that the downtown has actually been through sort of a quadruple whammy. Started with the 2008-2009 recession, and followed that by the amazing takeoff of Amazon. So what I call the Amazonification of retail. Or, some people politely called it Internet 2.0 or Web 2.0, but really it's the Amazonification of retail. And then to fight that, we did a widespread community consultation to say, how do we remake our downtown so that it can recover from the recession and come back from the Amazonification. And the downtown streetscape project of widening the sidewalks and changing the traffic flow is what resulted from that extensive consultation. That, Mary, I think was before you joined us. And then, so then the third whammy begins, and that's the construction. And then the fourth whammy comes in, which is COVID. And everybody knows what we went through in the spring and what we seem to be about to go through for the rest of this fall. Let's all be optimistic that by the end of the year, COVID's been turned around again and we can open back up a little bit more. But there you go, 4 whammies: a recession, Amazonification, construction, and COVID. And, I was down there yesterday. I'm planning to go down again tonight. And I am really, really heartened by the life that you find in our downtown. Although I have to say, the doctors are all saying that maybe there's too much life in public, and maybe we should all stay home more for a while. But it's a fine balance to deal with there. I like the I'm going to call it the street furniture. The benches, the light posts, the bike stands, the charging stations, and I'm wondering what the reaction to them has been in your experience. I mean, you've been really one-on-one with the merchants. Are they happy with those things?
I have to tell you that they are. There was a lot of time and energy put into the planning of the placement of the benches, and not necessarily where on the street they would be, but to do them into clusters, not just singular in some instances. So that helps, and they are being used, and were used the first day. I've seen where store owners as well as visitors to the downtown are using our benches as a selfie moment. So that's great. Want to mention too, your point about how wanting to celebrate our downtown, at the same time, staying safe. We do have a virtual event with Santa coming up this weekend. Actually, we're taping on Thursday, if I'm not wrong.
Well, Santa willing, I'll be there.
That's great. And it's nice to have our new downtown as the backdrop for a good portion of that virtual event. So that's good.
Yeah, I mean, our merchants have, when you look at our numbers, the thing that I'm struck by is how our stores and restaurants have not generated COVID cases that anybody's been able to track back to them. There's an open question about the failure of the authorities to be able to test and track everything. And I'm continuing to work as hard as I can to get the provincial government and the medical, the health districts to do a faster, better job on testing and tracing. But, you look at the record so far and they're clean. And so I think Christmas shopping will be a safe and enjoyable experience. I know that every one of our stores has been really good about enforcing the mandated guidelines about keeping your distance, wearing your mask inside, and they've all got hand sanitizer available to you. So I hope people will feel comfortable with an old-fashioned Christmas shopping trip to the brand new downtown.
Mm. I can tell you that the retailers are up and ready for exactly that. There may be limiting 4 or 5 people in the store at a time, but to me that would translate into better customer service than I will ever get online. Also with a friendly face and someone that knows me. So if there's problem with a product, it's easier to come back than it is trying to reship and deal with all of that.
Oh yeah, there was a TV show everybody loved called Friends, and the theme song had this line in it about liking a place where everybody knows your name.
Mm.
And our downtown is the kind of place where if you're comfortable knowing the name of your shopkeeper and having your shopkeeper know your name, man, is downtown Oakville ever your place. Now, I do recommend that don't be shy, don't be afraid to make the first move. But you can have that warm social experience that we all benefit from and we all enjoy in downtown Oakville. So as I understand it, in any construction project, there are misses and deficiencies and things like that, and we're collecting those. And the contract provides for the contractor to fix those over the next year, approximately, right?
Correct. I can tell you this week is a little, if you compare it to what you do around your own home just before you have a party or a dinner party, where you're cleaning and preparing and making it look as best as you can. That's what's happening this week. But over the 2 years of construction, if there has been a bump or a chip or a crack, we have been tracking that. And we will be circling back to those bumps and cracks and chips to make sure that that work is corrected. Those types of things are an inevitability in a project of this size. But certainly our contractor is taking responsibility for that. It will take some time, but we want it done properly, and we want our landlords to be happy with the work that was done.
Well, and I'd like to be happy with it too.
Right.
So
Right.
now, you mentioned earlier, and I thought maybe we should explain that there's other construction in the vicinity. And could you just take a second to explain how that's separate from this project, and some of it's being conducted by other authorities?
Correct. There is a project that's done on Thomas, north of Church Street. That's done by an independent developer. And that's an extensive project. You can see the crane in the sky. It's meant water being closed off at times. That's a big one. There's also some work done this week. Actually, we just completed it within Town Square, and that was done by the region of Halton, and that was repairing a water main. And it's quite an interesting project in that they were able to dig a small area in 3 different locations and be in and out within 10 days versus having to tear up the entire easement just south of George Street. And lastly, there is some paving and concrete work taking place this week on Trafalgar, and that should be completed within a week and a half. So they are working in tandem with the Lakeshore project, but it doesn't affect our deadlines.
Right. So now just tell us a little bit about whose project the Trafalgar work is.
I believe the Trafalgar work is in tandem with the town and the region, but it is separate from the Lakeshore project itself.
Right. So we also have with us today the town and regional councillor for the area, Mr. Dave Gittings. And Dave, what can you add to our understanding of this momentous finishing burst that we're going through today and tomorrow?
Incredibly exciting. From the residents to the retailers and shopkeepers, we've been looking forward to this day for quite a while. And based on the comments that we've been hearing from all the groups that are affected, it's a wonderful looking area. And as you can tell from the people that have been crowding downtown in a socially distanced manner, it's very much appreciated.
Well, now, as I look back on the 2 years, I am really glad that the downtown merchants chose in a 2-to-1 margin to space this out over 2 years. Because when we started it, I thought we should do the rip the Band-Aid approach and go straight through in allegedly 12 months. And looking back at the surprises that we got when we opened up the street and found things that nobody knew were there, the 2/3 of our merchants who said, no, take the 2 years, space it out. They were smarter than I thought at the time. I've got to give them credit for putting us on that path. Like, what were some of the things that, let's see now, Dave and Mary, do you remember any of the odd things that got dug up? I mean, there were things in there that you would never expect to find in a roadbed.
Well, some of the things that were found, there were some basement-like structures that were built out underneath the sidewalk, the Lakeshore Road area, that who would have figured that items like that would be found, not a part of any survey, that's for sure.
There was a window well in the Dunn Lakeshore intersection. And then because the Seasons restaurant was our former courthouse jail, tracing back to being the oldest part of the roadway, they found numerous items there, piping that didn't go anywhere, wasn't connected to anything, bits of things that looked like furniture. And what happened there is it slows down the digging because you don't know what's next. All you know is you need to be pretty careful. So that was a trying block for certain.
All right. And where did we didn't save any of that stuff, right?
No, there was really no, we took some of it to the Historical Society, but there was no value to it. It's remnants is a kind word. How's that?
Yeah, it had been missing so long that nobody missed it anymore.
Right, that's right.
Now, Dave, your ward mate, Councillor Janet Haslett-Deal, wanted to join us today and for some personal reasons couldn't. But what's now that she's not here and we can talk behind her back, what can you share about how Janet has related to this project?
Well,
Aside from very nervous.
well, that's a fair comment. You know, whenever you have that kind of construction work going on, everybody agreed that the work obviously had to be done. We were dealing with incredibly old and antiquated infrastructure, and under the building it back better formula, you know, the investment that we're making in it, everybody saw what it could be and was looking forward to it. But there were obviously concerns throughout the construction, whether it be with residents or whether it be with some of the shopkeepers. And so Councillor Janet and I spent a fair amount of time talking to those that were affected. Mary was on the street as well, and we took their concerns, we fixed what we could, and we were there to answer their questions all the way along, because a project like this, you have to stay in constant communication.
I started to think of the two of you as lifeguards at the pool.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, yeah. They reached out at times, yes.
So when COVID is gone, shall we have a party to celebrate the thing, or will it be old hat by then?
I think we should have a great party. Every day on the weekends, particularly when there's nice weather, there is no lack of people attending from all over Oakville and adjacent municipalities, because we have an absolutely beautiful downtown on the lake, the historic area. It's a wonderful place to visit. And a lot of the store owners have been reporting very good sales, you know, double-digit increases over the previous year. And so we're very much looking forward to people enjoying strolling the streets and supporting our shops.
Well, you know, on that note, that's a testimonial in favor of the kind of community consultation that we do before we do a project. This was, I mean, we took years to get to this point, and we had clear goals, and the number one, I mean, the thing started out as, geez, we got to fix the roadbed, but it turned into, well, why don't we fix the whole downtown business environment? And you know, when you're at the start of that with a goal like that, there's a little bit of, in my case anyway, you know, fear and uncertainty. What if it won't, you know, will it work? And so I've been thrilled to see the throngs prove the community right about this undertaking.
You're absolutely correct. It goes back past 5 years ago with the downtown road network and the movement away from the one-way streets. And it goes to, Mr. Mayor, you often talk about Oakville being iterative. And my goodness, whether it be the street furniture, the lamps, the garbage containers, the benches, my goodness, we had meetings at Town Hall, we had meetings downtown Oakville, we had displays set up at Town Square. I see Mary grinning, you know, that's, we had people with clipboards asking residents, asking visitors, asking anybody for their feedback. And I think it shows in the finished project.
I would agree with that. And I think, you know, the strongest comment was your first, Councillor Gittings, in that people want to be down there and enjoy being down there. And I think the result in that is that they will be spending money down there. So that's great. It's ownership within our downtown.
So now has the use of granite to decorate the sidewalks been commented on much?
You know, truthfully, it has, and so have the inline of the leaves, the brass leaves that are near the trees. All the little details that You know, you wonder when they're coming in, it's almost, honest to God, it's taking longer. Had we not made this so special, could we be finished by now? But no, it pays off. It's reflective of the place that it is. You know, it's lovely. It's lovely.
I know when my wife pointed out to me the little leaps in the granite, she said, "Okay, now that's a touch."
That's good.
She
That we won't be
seemed-
putting garbage cans on top of.
Well, yeah, let's hope. But we have we have about a minute and a half left, and I want to provide people with some clarity about what happened to the talk we conducted about also rebuilding Town Square. Dave, do you want to handle that, or do you want?
By all means, Mr. Baird, the plans are to rebuild Town Square, as you mentioned. We've had a lot of input. We had a lot of discussions about it. And given the pandemic in which we find ourselves and the construction we've gone through, we thought it may be prudent and a great way to support our retailers downtown if we just had a bit of a pause, took a break, and deferred that so we can let downtown get back on its feet a little bit.
That's right. And in the minute that's left, would you like to reassure people that after that gets done, there will still be real grass there?
Yes, there certainly will be real grass.
Because I know that was a point of some anxiety for the residents associations, and the residents associations, of which there are many in our town, really contribute to the vitality of our conversations about what to do.
We are fortunate indeed.
We are. I have always said this is the most engaged community in the world. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. And let me know, mayor@oakville.ca, if there's a topic you'd like covered. I hope to see you next time.